I think we have to talk about Zion Williamson and what's going on with his career and his health and his injuries. Zion has appeared, he's in his third season now, and he's appeared in 85 games for his entire career. 3 seasons of 82 games. We're looking at 200. The third season's not done yet, but it's looking like he's going to be out for the rest of the year with rumors that he needs a second surgery on that foot. So, assuming he misses the rest of the season, we're looking at 85 out of 246 games. That's about 30% of his game. I just like I hate to say this and I hate to compare it, but Zion's looking like Greg Oden 2.0. He's looking like a guy who could have an elite impact. I think the time he has played has been pretty special. There's no denying that his numbers are elite when he plays. He's got a very unique scoring profile. He's a freak. I don't think anyone can argue that when he plays. That's the caveat, when he plays. And that has been so infrequent that you start to think about other number one picks whose careers have been derailed by injury, and Greg Oden is the one that comes to mind, especially considering that Ja went number two, similar to how Kevin Durant went number two behind Greg Oden. Greg Oden played 105 games for his career. He didn't look anything like what he should have in terms of what the expectations were, and that's the same for Zion. I think he's falling well short of expectations, not because of a lack of talent, but because of a lack of discipline. Like, I just think he's way too heavy. I think if you go back, and Zion's been in the media's eye since his high school days. If you go back, his weight in high school is what he should have maintained. But it looks like since late high school, he gained weight going into Duke. In terms of he wasn't like absurdly overweight or anything at Duke. He was still in decent shape at Duke. I think Duke focused on keeping him at that weight, watching his diet, paying attention to him and his pending professional career at that point. But right now, there's just no semblance of discipline in this kid's life. There's no sort of regard for his career. He seems to be a careless individual, someone who lacks the discipline that's needed to be successful in a career that's heavily dependent on your physical capabilities and your attention to detail when it comes to your physique. And Zion's just eating whatever, it seems like he's just eating whatever he wants. And with foot injuries, you can't even blame the guy because he can't really be in shape doing cardio and putting in the work because his foot's hurt. And I think with guys who are his size in terms of he's not short. He's 6'6", rumored to be above 300 pounds. Like, that's a lot of load on his feet, on his knees, on his ankles, on his legs in general. Like, something's going to give, and at that point, you don't know if he's going to be able to recover because if he can't maintain his weight while he's healthy, there's almost no way he's going to be able to maintain his weight while he's injured. And this goes back to I think like a good way to look at this is if we look at that draft, if you're David Griffin and you have Zion and you offer him for Ja, is there any GM in the league that takes that trade? I don't think there is. I don't think there's one GM that says Zion for Ja straight up. I choose Zion. Nobody's going to take that risk anymore, knowing with the knowledge that we have today. And I think there's tensions in that front office. I think Zion's upset with how it was handled, but I think that that's a lack of accountability on Zion's part. Zion hasn't done his own part in terms of taking care of his health and taking care of his diet and putting in the work. And then he's blaming the front office for not handling things properly. And I think the front office has to be careful in how they're playing it. I think the front office has to sort of appease to their star player. We know the power dynamic in the NBA and how that goes with star players and just treading the water very carefully. Zion's a young kid. He doesn't really know how to navigate these waters. It's just a really messy situation and it's not looking good. I think I don't want to use the word bust because he's injured, but and I was on record before. I know we weren't live on a podcast, but I was on record. I thought Josh should have been taken over Zion solely based on injury risk. I just don't think a guy with Zion's body type, his play style, his reliance on his physicality can make it through the rigors of an 82 game season. But right now, I don't even think it's a question. I think it's like New Orleans regrets that pick. If I'm David Griffin, I don't know if I made the right choice. Ja is looking like the face of the league versus Zion's looking like he might not make it past his rookie deal because he can't play. I don't know.
Completely on the same page for this one. And I think it's very frustrating because it's not like this is revisionist history. Like, we saw the risks. Mainstream medium, they all saw the risks as well. It's like you can't possibly. I mean, you feel like you're in a small market, you're handicapped. You're like, okay, I have to draft this guy because he's going to be great for TV. But like realistically, like you could see it in advance. It's like there's no way this guy can play an 82 game season. He's not disciplined. He's overweight, and that just doesn't miraculously change once you become a pro. At Duke, sure, like once you're on the verge of becoming into stardom and getting into a pro, that's fine. But like with the way NBA contracts are, they're mostly guaranteed throughout. Like you can see, like Ben Simmons was getting paid for doing absolutely nothing. Like what risk is there really for Zion? And even when his rookie deal comes up, there's going to be a team that's going to take a flyer on him just because of his, he was drafted number one overall, the type of potential talent he is, and the kind of freak he's capable of being. But with regards to him being a bust, like even with when Greg Oden got injured, there were signs that he had issues in the draft. Like I think that both of his feet are not the same size, or his legs are not symmetrical to the point where it's like, okay, if he's always jumping lopsided, like there's injury risk there. And now, at least for on his behalf, like Oden was like the real first one that really you could see. It's like, okay, this guy's a complete injury bust, and he's now used as the staple figure for, okay, if you're a bust, you're basically a Greg Oden. Like if you're a high caliber player that had real potential and you're a bust, you're Greg Oden. But to me, Zion's more of like a Greg Oden and like an Anthony Bennett build. You know what I mean? Like it's like he was not disciplined. He was bigger. He was overweight. The media hype definitely propelled him to number one because I remember he had high school highlights. ESPN wasn't really even covering that much. Once he got to Duke, this guy was all over TV and he became a star. And a lot of what I think is happening now is that sure he's injured. I'm fine with that. I could probably agree with that. He might be hurt. That's fine. But I don't think he wants anything to do with the New Orleans Pelicans. He knows
And
that's a small market.
I think
And
that's
there was even rumors where it's like sorry, go ahead.
no, no. I was gonna say I think that's a cop out, man. I think Zion saying, "Oh, it's New Orleans' fault. Oh, it's a small market. Oh, I don't want to play." Like he could be a star with the
No,
way
it is a cop out.
it's a
But
cop
what
out.
what I'm saying is the way NBA contracts are, he has no real risk. He can just, gamesmanship his way to not really playing with New Orleans ever again. And somebody like the Knicks will be willing to pay him max contract money. Sure, the Pelicans could pay him more than anybody, but like at that point, like the amounts you're getting paid, that's a lot of money, and you'll gladly eat several million to get out of a spot you don't want to be in. Like, what risk does Zion really have?
Yeah, and you know what? If I'm David Griffin and Zion's what in year 3, so he's eligible to sign his extension. I think this summer he's eligible to sign an extension
Yep.
that goes beyond like his second contract after his first one after his rookie contract. If I'm David Griffin, I don't know if I'm giving him a max deal. Like, dude can't stay on the court. He can't stay healthy. Like, you want me to lock up $200 million into a guy who might play 25% of the games in the next 4 years? Like, I cannot do that. And these injuries, his recovery, it's not going to get better with time. It's going to get worse because the older you get, the harder it becomes for your body to recover. He should have already recovered from this foot injury. And I think had he not been overweight at the beginning of the injury, it would have assisted in recovering faster. It would have assisted in
So,
him being able to do more
would you have
activity.
considered him overweight at the time of the draft?
Yes, yes, he was overweight
I
then
think it's
too.
very hard to draft somebody one overall who's just not fully disciplined or fully committed to being in the best shape.
And I
I think
think
that
the
that's the first major problem.
yeah, I think the NBA was like you said, you're in a small market and there's a lot of pressure from the owner probably like if you have a boss who doesn't really understand the owners of these teams, they're not really as well equipped to understand the nuances of basketball.
No, they don't care.
They
They
don't
just
care.
want to say we own a team,
We own a team. That's
and
right.
that's the
We're
flex they
rich.
have. Yep.
Yeah, we're rich. We own a team. That's it. That's kind of the end of being an owner, right? Some guys might be fans. Some guys might know basketball more than that, but a lot of them don't. So if you're a GM or a president of basketball operations and you have an owner breathing down your neck saying, "Hey man, I saw these Zion highlights. There's no way we don't take this kid number one. This guy looks like a freak. We need to take him. He might be a franchise changer for us." You're fired if you don't take Zion. You get pressured into taking a kid like Zion, whether or not you wanted to, and the owner's not the one conducting interviews with him. The owner's not the one who has a history of knowing what it takes to be a successful player in the NBA in terms of your discipline, your attention to your physique, your attention to the little things in the offseason that are going to help
Yep.
make you one be healthy and ready to play basketball. Like your
But I guess
availability
I
is
guess
one
in
of the
the
key
owner's
factors.
defense, if all went well, like Zion would definitely have sold jerseys. He definitely would be on TV. From the
Yeah,
owner's
of course,
perspective, like he definitely would have made the money.
of
That's
course.
what they
But
were thinking of.
I think there needed to be more caution and due diligence. Like it was it was more I think it was more likely than what people initially thought that he would not be able to go through the rigors of an 82 game season. He would not be able to be as healthy as they would like. Like I think there was a greater chance of that happening than they initially gave it, under the assumption that, oh, when he's in the NBA, we're gonna put him on, this diet, or we're gonna have team chefs cooking him meals, we're gonna invest in his body, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. At the end of the day, that's Zion's choice. Like, you could cook the food, but if the guy can just order Uber Eats and get McDonald's or get gumbos in New Orleans or get whatever he wants to get,
Yep.
you can't control that. What are you gonna put a monitor on the kid 24/7 and see what he's eating? You can't do that. So those habits are something I think that teams needed to pay a little bit more attention to. And I think looking back, like, you seeing the weight gain from high school to university, and listen, Coach K is probably one phone call away for a lot of these higher up GMs, for a lot of the president of basketball
For
operations of the
sure.
world, the owners. You can talk to Coach K, and he's not going to, shoot one of his own in the foot in terms of telling people, yeah, Zion can't watch his weight, but he's at least, if you have that type of relationship, he's going to be honest with you and tell you, look, these are the kids' red flags. We don't know if he's going to be able to maintain his weight. We don't know if he's going to be able to handle what comes with being an elite basketball player in terms of like a legendary professional all NBA,
So
all legend type guy.
I'm sure they have those discussions with Coach K or whoever the coach is there, where you draft you spend a real lottery pick on somebody. I just think like you just take it from a risk benefit standpoint, and what really does New Orleans have to lose, right? Like they're already losing Anthony Davis.
Well, they missed out
I
on
think that,
Jaw.
I think that was
They missed out
pre-draft.
on Jaw. That's what they missed out. That's the risk. The risk is you take a guy who's now potentially going to be the face of the NBA in 5 years, who's turned around a Memphis franchise, which is very similar in a small market. You missed out on that
Well,
because you didn't do your due diligence.
I agree with that, but I think a lot of it has to do that he doesn't something. There's something in New Orleans that he doesn't want to play there. You saw Anthony Davis really didn't like that organization at all. Like I think there's also other things there that really maybe Jaw wouldn't have been as successful in New Orleans versus Memphis.
I mean, I gotta take it at face value. I see what I see with Jaw in Memphis, and I see what I see with Zion in New Orleans. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think they made a mistake, and I was on record of that before the draft. But now it's just looking more and more clear that this is just not working out the way it's going to. And I don't know if
Like
if
I'm
I'm
not
any,
convinced he plays another game for the Pelicans again.
you know what? There's a real chance of that. There's a very real chance that he's done in New Orleans. And if I'm a GM of any team in the league, I don't know if I can give this guy a max deal coming out of his rookie contract. I just can't.
Someone will. Watch the Knicks. They'll reunite Barrett and him, get Reddish on there too. They'll do it up.
Yeah, Duke in the NBA, same Duke squad in
Exactly.
the NBA.